So hi everyone, I hope you can hear me. Welcome to our session about DevOps, GitOps, and how we go from local development to production deployment. My name is Stefan Weber, and my co-presenter is
João Ventura.
And we are from 1xINTERNET both. About myself, I'm Chilean Austrian, but living in Germany, one of the co-founders and CTO at 1xINTERNET, and I live near Frankfurt in Germany. And yeah, I've been around Drupal since Drupal 4.7. If you want to contact me, there's an email address and my Twitter handle. And I pass over to João.
Yep. So I'm Portuguese. Been organizing some events there in Portugal a long time ago, and most recently Drupal Dev Days with the rest of the Portuguese team. I'm living in Darmstadt, so I also helped with that one. And I've been a long time since working in Drupal. And yeah, so you have my email address, joão@1xINTERNET.de, and also my Twitter handle, JCNVentura, if you want to contact me.
Thanks. So we are 1xINTERNET, full service digital agency, and we do mostly Drupal in the backend, like almost purely, and in frontend, like we do like a lot of React besides of the classical theming and with Twig and the like. We do digital strategy as a company and IT consultancy, UX design development, as I said, like with Drupal and React mostly. And we also have like a online marketing department. And obviously, and this is also part of the talk now, we do hosting, maintenance, and service for Drupal websites. We are like around about 45 people spread around Europe. We have like offices in Frankfurt. That's like our main office, and then we have like one in Berlin, in Spain, and Conil. That's the picture from above that you see there, and in Reykjavik in Iceland. So what are the objectives like of sort of like our efforts in DevOps and GitOps? It's basically fast onboarding of new developers, and by new developers we don't only mean new developers, but also developers like switching to projects where they haven't worked on before. And back in the days, like this would, like, as you know, like take like a local a lab stack to set up. Nowadays, like we can do this in around about like 10 minutes, like depending mostly like on the size of database and files that need to be synced. We also try for just like having a simple setup for new sites or new projects, and obviously easy deployment of sites to different environments, be it production or staging or something like that. Also, another objective is like to have like flexibility to adapt like to site or hosting specific requirements. Like we have Drupal 7 sites, we have Drupal 8 sites, we have Drupal 9 sites, we have our own hosting, and we have like a bunch of like hostings like that are either like on the client or somewhere in the cloud that we need to service, and we try to streamline our processes like so you actually don't have to really care about like where stuff gets deployed. I'll pass over like to João, like to explain a little bit like the first part of our stack.
Yeah, so one fundamental element that we have in our stack is our own distribution. Christoph Breidert has been presenting it as parts of on talks on how to enhance the editor experience for Drupal. So for those that didn't attend that session, feel free to go and search for that video. it was presented at this DrupalCon. From the point of view of this talk, the only thing I want to say is it's based on 3 repositories, so 3 Git project, Git repositories. One contains the Drupal 8/9 profile with some special source configuration and glue code. And what I mean with this is like for instance, one of the modules that we use in our distribution, and it's paragraphs. And we have some custom modules that are basically just the config install for some special paragraphs, like some image paragraphs, some hero slide paragraph, some slideshow paragraph, etc. And the glue code is mostly stuff like we want some things to behave in a slightly special way. And there's not much of real functionality in the distribution. Most of the special functionality that is there is we make contrib projects out of those that when they are mature enough, we put on Drupal.org as part of our open source reach. Then we have a front-end team. Currently, it's based on Pattern Lab. We are switching on the very near future to web components. But of course, old sites will keep using the theme that they have. And finally, like in Lord of the Rings, one repository to bin them all. We have the Composer project template that simplifies greatly how we create a new project with simply that command that's there. So Composer create project, and that will in a few minutes instantiate a new site based on 1xDXP that is ready to start development on from the point of view of the project creator. I mean, there's other things that need to happen. We need to go into our GitLab. We need to set up a new project there so that we can then commit these things over and make it available. And speaking of making it available, that's the part where the local development comes on. Thank you. So when we want to do local development, we've decided to use DDEV. There were other options that we looked at the time, Doxal and Lando. And we ended up deciding on DDEV. Lando and DDEV seemed to be the more mature options at the time. DDEV seemed to have slightly better edge in the Drupal community, as it's built by people that are very active within the community, that are very active also with the community. So we decided to go with DDEV, and it's been in retrospective, it's been a pretty good choice, as we've been able to speak with Randy and others quite easily. And when you are creating a project, so your Composer created a project, the next step now to add DDEV is just this. We do DDEV config, project name, we choose the PHP version that we are using, because currently it would be 7.3, and then the MariaDB, which is needs to be tailored to the version that's used within each site. But our default on our VMs, the default version is that one, so that's what's there. And once this is done, and once you've pushed a project, so you're as a project creator, you push the project, and it's now in the Git repo. And now comes, and as Stefan clarified, comes a developer that hasn't never worked on this project. He might be at 1x since the beginning, but he never started with this project. So what he needs to do is basically run these commands. So the first command is the normal git clone of the project. Then we do the build of the project with Composer install inside DDEV, and you build the particle theme, for instance. And then the final one is you grab the current database of the project into your local environment, using the Drush aliases. So you run this DDEV Drush SQL sync, and that is that, like within normally something like, depending on your computer, and unfortunately if you have a Mac, because we are running Docker, things will be slower, but within half an hour for sure you go from zero to being to having a local development environment that that you can work on. So, and this was a major gain. We used to take like half a day to 1 day to get to this point, and it's quite a win when we finally got to where we are now. Next slide, Stefan, please.
Yeah, just quickly, because like we said we were just gonna answer questions like as they come. So there's like a question here from Hilmar, the Drupal Viking, like if we are gonna make the 1xDX distro available to the public. So basically, like the 1xDX is like, it's an installation profile, and like as Joao said, just has like some glue code and things like that, and it's really opinionated on how we want to sort of like build sites. So in that sense, like there's nothing really custom in there besides modules that like we might still not consider like to be like major enough, like as Joao said, like to put them out there. But like most of them already are, and like, and the rest is just actually, it saves you the time of clicking together like how you want to build your Drupal site and adding that configuration. So like open sourcing it would be no problem as of the nature of it, but like we feel that like it might be not of so much gain for everyone, because like you would have to learn like how we want, sort of like how we think like Drupal sites, and also like with it would come like that we would have to sort of like also be responsible of maintaining like older versions and things like that, which we actually trying to avoid a little bit. So it might happen, but like it might just not. Like everything we use there it's sort of publicly available anyways, and it's just curated to our like best liking.
Yeah, we do have the experience getting involved with distributions that are, and co-maintaining distributions that are publicly available. I think it was OpenEdu,
Yes.
right? And it's a lot of effort. It's not something that one does lightly. And for 1xDXP, we're very far from being able to commit to that level of support. So one special element here, it's this 1xDX Composer project, which is the one to bind them all. What does it have? So it starts with some DDEV support. So we have some recipes for Elastic and Solar that are basically just renaming a file from .example, like Elastic search I can't remember the name of the file, but it ends with .example for now, and you remove the suffix, and then suddenly next time that you'll start your DDEV container, it will have that service available within the sites. So this is something that you do at project creation. So this is why it starts with the template. So if it's decided that this project needs Solar or this project needs Elastic, the project creator will remove that suffix, and then every local developer will have this service available for the local development on his site. It has some other stuff like a Drush scaffolding. So you saw that that one of the things that the local developer does is to use Drush SQL sync with some aliases. These aliases need to be defined correctly, and this is something we're not leaving to each local developer to set up on its own. So the site, when created will have the right aliases already defined, so that for each environment, they can easily get the files, the database from that version. And then we have some custom commands. The custom command is it's only one, and it's mostly to prevent that you try to sync to the live database. Even not all of us have the rights to write to the live database, but even those that have would need to remove the custom command to be able to do so. So we've set up that safeguard in place, that we don't write the order of parameters wrong and suddenly destroy the client side. Then we have some visual regression test system configuration. That if you want to investigate one of the things we'll say in the last slides, would use these files that are in the template. Some Drup default configuration settings template. So for instance, one of the things that's in the template for Drupal settings is the definition of environments. So we're using environment indicator, and we have some colors that we specified for each environment. And all of these colors are in this template already. So if you wanna set up an environment, you simply have to use the information that's in the template and call it the right name. And then we have a default GitLab CI template. That template is only needs to be minimally changed for each site. So for each so for our normal sites, you only need to replace one string with the name with the number of the VM where this site is going to be deployed, and the rest just works out of the box. And we keep incorporating whatever are the best practices into this default GitLab CI template. Next slide. So speaking of GitLab, a lot of our work nowadays revolves around GitLab. We've been moving stuff. So we started with GitLab a few years ago. Before that, we used Bitbucket. Then we started by moving all the Git repos into GitLab. We're using a self-hosted community edition, so we're not paying for this. We also don't get all the latest features that the premium customers have, but we haven't actually missed them that much. So kudos to GitLab on their community edition. So now we've got every version control system being handled by our GitLab, except for some clients that demand that we use their own Git repository for reasons. Then recently we moved out of Jira and started using the issue system in GitLab. We've also written a custom time tracking system that's based on Drupal, and we've been using the webhooks that GitLab provides to just easily do time tracking from within the GitLab issues to our custom time tracking system. We use a lot GitLab CI, which is the subject of the next slide. And the final thing that I wanted to mention on the advantages that GitLab is now providing is very recently it started adding a package manager for NPM and Composer packages. So we are now we just now started to roll out for all our projects our Composer packages, so that we're not in the repos up to now within our Composer JSON files. We were specifying each repo for each module that we used from our GitLab, and now we're using this Composer package manager. So no need to use Satis nor anything separate out of GitLab to maintain those. And I would recommend that everyone running GitLab look at those. It's very easy to set up. Also, you will need to use GitLab CI to self-publish to the package manager, but it's almost trivial. And speaking of GitLab CI, the next slide. Yeah. So this is the core of our Gitops at the moment. So our objective with GitLab CI was that in each project, there would be minimum configuration. Currently we still have one, we have mostly, for most projects, we have 4 stages in each project. We have build, we have pre-testing, we have deploy, and we have post-testing. And 3 of those, we have minimum configuration inside each GitLab CI. Only the build step is usually fully written in the project CI. The rest usually are something like 5 lines of CI saying, for instance, the deploy step is usually deploy to test, for instance, and then it will say includes GitLab CI D8 YAML, and then it will have like a variable saying variables env test, and then a branch selection saying that this deploy to test only applies to the develop branch, for instance. And with just that configuration and the includes, that you have full a full specification on deploying to that environment. So through the use of CI variables, we've managed to tailor a lot. For instance, when we are deploying to live, we have a variable saying enable backups. So every time during our deployment process for live, we set this enable backups to true. And when the common CI sees the variable being set to true prior to deployment, it creates a snapshot of the database so that if anything goes wrong, we have a to-the-minute database snapshot prior to doing the deployment. We use it for our own hosting. We've also been using it for external hosting. So as long as our GitLab runner can connect to has been given permissions to connect to the external hoster, it will, through the use of some other CI variables, we will be able to deploy to the client side. We have the most of the heavy duty work on the CI is available on that URL there. So gitlab.com 1xINTERNET, and there's only 2 repos at gitlab.com 1xINTERNET, so it's very easy from then to navigate over to GitLab CI common. Those that do, you'll see that there's a CI D7 and a CI D8. The D7, as you can guess, it's applicable for Drupal 7 sites, so it has stuff that's specific for Drupal 7, like use of features versus config and some other things. The D8, well, it's one of the advantages of Drupal 9 is that it looks a lot like D8. So we'll probably be using the D8 version, the D8 file for Drupal 9, and for as long as we don't need to completely change it. I don't think it will need complete changes. Only if for some reason Drupal 10 has like Drush in core, and we start using Drush in core versus normal Drush. So it's open. and it's public. You can go and look at it. Caveats are, it's very 1x oriented. You can adapt it and reuse it for your own ends, objectives. But we would of course welcome any suggestions and feedback from you guys. Yeah, that's it. So Stefan.
Yeah, so we have a question here, like from Bastian Wittmer. Do you deploy just by shipping the build artifact into a web host, or how is the infrastructure managed? So like the infrastructure is not managed like by the GitLab CI. And yes, like we do just deploy by shipping the build artifact into the web host. Maybe about infrastructure, just like a quick one, like to give you an overview. So we operate with VMs. I mean, we do manage like a fair amount of sites, but like it's not that big that we could just like go like with a completely containerized solution here, or we could like, but like it would take a lot of effort, like as you can see maybe in other solutions, like you see them at the big hosters, or so like and it has proven like to be really stable and reliable over the years, and we have it like under good control and like with only little amount of effort. So like that actually like so we're going to keep this for another bit. So just basically just like an overview, like we have a hoster, right, that like sort of provides for us like the bare metal and the VM configuration, and like and takes care like sort of like of the hosting, which is like related up to the operating system level, right? And then we just sort of like take care of the application part. So we have like powerful like bare metal servers, like with like KVM based VMs with load balancing and SSL termination. We have like a golden master like image, like which we update, like I don't know, like if there's like new PHP versions coming out and things like that.
MySQL,
we have like
yeah,
exactly. We have like tooling for the VM, for the creation, for changing like resources on the VM, or like also like the deactivation. We use a bunch of bash scripts for the provisioning, since we actually the infrastructure is there, right? So we just like sort of like configure it a little bit, like which PHP version is to be used and things like that. Like said before, like deployment with GitLab runner and CI. Our infrastructure also includes like a DDoS protection service, and we use a StackPath CDN like for our sites, where we also provided like the purge module for, and we have like some monitoring obviously in place, and we use Drupal remote desktop for just like keeping an overview on sort of like the Drupal and the versions of the contrib module space. So like time is running low. So from Hilmar again, just a question like if we're using Docker on our production service. As I said, no, we use virtual machines, but we also like service like a lot of like projects where like that run on containers in production on different, I think we have it here somewhere. Yeah, exactly. So we're just like handling like round about like 160 self-hosted sites, and others like client-specified infrastructures like AWS, Azure, Pantheon, Aqua Cloud, Google Cloud, like, and custom hosters. So like this, like we know them all. So like our DevOps team is like 4 people. That's myself and Joao, like that you see here. And then we have Truls and Denise. Truls is like mostly responsible for the DDEV part, and Denise is like more for like the system administrator part, right? So we use a lot of automated tools for deployment, backup, and maintenance, and monitoring. And yeah, so I'm starting to speak fast because like time is running up. So if you have any questions, you can also just ping us here. we're also hiring, so talk to us. And for the last 5 seconds, join contribution day tomorrow, right? And yeah, thank you for coming by and joining this this talk.
Yeah. Bastian asked, well, did a follow-up if we would like to use Docker on production. We have some plans for that, and we appreciate the invitation to reach you guys at Amazi. We probably are already speaking with you guys at Amazi anyway. The fact is of the matter is our VMs have proved so stable, and we did some comparisons with on sites before they were, so when they were in our infrastructure, and when they got moved to enterprise solutions based on really like really large companies, way larger than ours, that that just do Drupal hosting for a living. Ours were better. So why destroy something that is working so well just because the latest buzzword? So I don't know. We do have the idea that we want to move to containers somehow, but it needs to prove that they need to prove that they are faster than the current VM-based solution. And that was the last question. Anyone else that has any questions? We need to move here because our friendly operator here will kick us out very soon. Though we'll be joining, you're free to join the booth meet. So just go to 1x, the exhibition hall, 1xINTERNET, and there's an open chat, video chat there that you can join with us if you want to do some follow-ups. Thanks everyone for showing up today here. Tomorrow, join the contributions. I'll be there also, and with some modules that I maintain that I would really appreciate some reviews and some patches. Thanks a lot again. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.